So one day in Egypt, three children all under 10 years old named Ahmed, Omar and Reem suddenly started having fevers. From fever, they began vomiting and then they started having seizures. Their parents, Nasser and Hagar, immediately rushed them to the hospital where doctors tried their best to save them. But unfortunately, one by one, they all died. A few days passed and the three remaining children of Nasser and Hagar started having the same fever their other siblings had, and they too died. It started the same way, from vomiting to fever and finally seizures. That same week, Nasser also caught the sickness, and just like his six children, he died, leaving only his wife remaining. Now, when the news of this family's death broke out, most people, even doctors, believed it was an infectious disease, something like Ebola, because never in the history of Egypt had 7 people in one family died so suddenly. In fact, the infection news was so serious that Hagar, the only surviving member of the family, had to flee the house, and the government had to come out and give a public notice that there is no infection. During the funeral of her husband and 6 children, she was inconsolable. Just imagine how crazy it must feel going from having a family of 7 to becoming a widow and childless. That was Hagar's new reality. But while everyone mourned, one person knew exactly what happened, and you won't believe who that person is. Sooner than later, the police got involved in the case. They visited Hagar and Nasser's house and took food and water samples. Additionally, they instructed the doctor at the hospital where Mr. Nasser and his 6 children died to carry out autopsies to determine the cause of death. Now, when the autopsy results were released, they revealed that the death of Mr. Nasser and his 6 children weren't caused by any airborne infection as everyone thought. Instead, they had been poisoned with chlorophenapyr, a strong pesticide. Now, we all know that no person in their right mind would willingly ingest pesticide. Even a child wouldn't do that. So, if this family died from pesticide ingestion, it could only mean someone gave it to them to consume without their knowledge. The only person the police suspected of doing anything like this was the only person in the family who somehow survived, Hagar. And so, this was how they brought Hagar in for questioning, and after interrogating her, the shocking truth finally came out. Let's rewind. You see, long before this incident, Mr. Nasser was married to another woman. Let's just call her wife A. Together, they had 6 children. But sadly, the relationship between them didn't last long. Problem arose and then eventually they divorced. After the divorce, the 6 children from wife A stayed with Mr. Nasser, who later remarried Hagar. So, for the next 3 to 4 years, everything seemed fine. The whole family was living together, that is, Hagar, Mr. Nasser, and the 6 children from wife A. They had no problem, everyone was fine. Until Mr. Nasser reconciled with wife A. When Hagar discovered this, she feared that Nasser might bring his ex-wife back home. And even worse, she was afraid she might be thrown out since she hadn't given birth to any children. This thought consumed her mind until finally she came up with a wicked plan to prevent any of this from happening. So one day, she went to the market, bought an insecticide, mixed it with flour, baked bread with it, and gave it to Nasser and his 6 children, or the 6 children from wife A. And after they all ate this bread, they started dying one by one. That was what truly happened. It wasn't an airborne infection at all. It was Hagar, also known as wife B, who poisoned her own husband and her 6 stepchildren, all because she didn't want wife A to come in and take her place in the family. After the police uncovered all this, they charged Hagar to court, and in November 2025, she was sentenced to death by hanging. Here's the real picture of the 6 children that were unfortunately murdered by their evil stepmother.